So as a follow-up video to the skin series, I just wanted to drop a few more useful tips because I forgot to add that in. Basically, I moved away from using chemical detergent for like laundry detergents and fabric softeners and things like that. I started exploring what I could use instead, and there's something called Indian soap nuts, which basically are really amazing for washing, non-allergenic, natural, and you only need a few of these berries at a time within a little cotton pouch that comes with the pack, and it really, is cleaning my clothes and not having any kind of effect on my skin, because I realized that a lot of the cystic acne that was occurring on the sides of my face had something to do with the pillowcases having been washed in these types of chemicals. So that was number one. Number two is taking care about any other types of chemicals in the vicinity, because if you look into it, it's really, really toxic. These fumes that are coming off of these chemicals, the way that they are affecting our lung system, our internal organs, our brains, and ultimately the skin. So that's another thing. And the third thing would be taking care on what is being put on the skin itself, which I previously mentioned. So basically a lot of things that are being sold as like skin creams and skin masks and so on just have so many ingredients in them. Like honestly, if I look at something and it's got 10 plus ingredients and I can barely pronounce most of them, then it isn't going in my body and it's not going on my skin. I found that these things, they're the kind of thing that typically suppresses a symptom or works for a particular thing, but because everything is connected, it has an impact later on down the line. So for example, if you're putting a cream on that actually contains an alcohol product, which really kills the natural microbiome or the bacteria on the surface of your skin, plus a detergent that strips the oil, what you're actually doing is making sure that your skin is dependent on that. That it needs that in order to look a certain way. And when you remove these types of products, you have kind of a lashback effect, let alone what you're actually harming in your own skin. There's also things like topical creams that dry the acne and things like that, and it's just this method of attacking parts of your body that just don't conform or don't look the way that you want them to, or trying to dampen them. It's all part of the germ theory, essentially, the fact that humanity has to kind of hide from all these bacteria and viruses that exist and we must go attack them, whereas a holistic therapy or a holistic look at this would strengthen your defenses, as well as view everything as kind of an ecosystem, an interconnected ecosystem. And if you strengthen all the parts and balance them out, then the way that they respond is going to be vastly different than simply, an imbalance showing up and then you go and you kind of dampen that imbalance, suppress it, or slap it with things that will make it harder for it to heal itself. The fifth thing I would like to mention is pills. Internal pills, obviously, that are going to affect, most of the times they target the liver, they target like how the toxins are being released from the body, or they have really high levels of vitamin A, a kind of artificial vitamin A, such as the medication Accutane. Would not recommend these things, because these internal pills, they're like doing something. They're leaching nutrients from the body, they're harming the gut lining, they're suppressing the natural effect between the organs of what's meant to happen. Overall, relying on something external in order to balance yourself out is kind of a forever looping effect, because it pushes you out of balance in order to get you to seek this thing further. And something that I definitely wouldn't do is try to suppress what my body is trying to say, because it will come out in other ways. So I would rather not, for example, take something to make my skin look beautiful and have that end up affecting one of my organs. That is not something that I'm okay with doing. I would rather, like, if my skin's releasing something or doing something, I'd rather face it head on. I'd rather see it. It's good that it's there where you can see it, because it's a message. And so at the end of the day, I think the last thing I want to mention is that a lot of this is kind of a relationship between you and yourself. So when these signals come up, when these messages happen, like kind of honoring that and listening to what is being said and trying to figure out what's going on only strengthens that. It will strengthen your intuition, and it will also allow your experience to trust you basically and show up things up more so that you can follow through with them. Perhaps at the beginning it's a little bit confused, but that's where something like kind of a diagnostic or a grid where you can lay everything out and answer some questions, do some self-reflection, so you can kind of understand what aspect is manifesting this. So, for example, looking into whether it's physical factors, emotional, mental, maybe there's some kind of subconscious work that needs to be done, you know, programs or fears that are deeply embedded that are actually manifesting this into the reality. So that would be the last key thing that might really help out. And if you would like to begin a little journey with unraveling these things and maybe figuring out what the messages are trying to say, let me know.